Preheat the oven to 180 degrees Celsius. 2½ cups, 312 grams, all-purpose flour. Grinding. Sift the flour into a mixing bowl. Europeans were used to growing crops such as wheat, which they then harvested and sent to other people who would turn the crop into flour. One and a half cups, 300 grams, white sugar. The food nobody needs, but everyone craves. Bone char, often referred to as natural carbon, is widely used by the sugar industry as a decolorizing filter, which allows the sugar cane to achieve its desirable white color. Decolorizing. Colonizing. Sugar plantation. The rise of sugar has been key to global trade and socio-economic development, slavery and the African diaspora and modern cultural norms. 2 packages baking powder, half a teaspoon salt. Portuguese realized the conditions for sugar plantations existed in Brazil, where a slave-based plantation economy was established. When Brazilian sugarcane was introduced in the Caribbean, it led to the growth of the industry which came to feed the sugar craze of Western Europe. Mix dry ingredients together. Hundreds of thousands of enslaved people were brought from Africa to the Caribbean and America so that Europeans could have sugar and rum, the main products of sugarcane. One and a half cups, 360 milliliters, almond milk. The Spanish conquest of the Aztecs in 1519 brought the fragrant flower and its companion, cacao, to Europe. Vanilla was cultivated in botanical gardens in France and England, but never offered up its glorious seeds. Growers couldn't understand why until centuries later when, in 1836, Belgian horticulturist Charles Morin reported that vanilla's natural pollinator was the Melipona bee, an insect that didn't live in Europe. Half cup, 120 milliliters, sunflower oil, 1 tablespoon white vinegar. Unlike the process of flour, on the Caribbean and American sugar plantations enslaved laborers had to do everything. They sowed, tended, and harvested the crop, and then worked to extract the juice from the sugarcane and boil and process the juice in order to turn it into sugar and molasses, and later they might work to distill some of the waste products into rum. Add the wet ingredients. When they were finally emancipated in 1834 in the British Empire, it was the slave owners who were fully compensated, not the slaves. Much of this money was used to build Victorian infrastructure, such as railways and factories. 2 packages of vanilla sugar. Long before Europeans took to vanilla's taste, the creeping vine grew wild in tropical forests throughout Mesoamerica, while the Totonac people of modern-day Veracruz, Mexico, are credited as the earliest growers of vanilla. The oldest reports of vanilla usage come from the pre-Columbian Maya. The Maya used vanilla in a beverage made with cacao and other spices. By state of the flowers. Give it a whisk until combined. In 1841, an enslaved boy on the island named Edmund Albius developed the painstaking yet effective hand pollination method for vanilla that is still in use today, which involves exposing and mating the flower's male and female parts, a way to augment the vanilla harvest pollinated by bees. Pour the batter out into your prepared sheet baking pan. A cake is a wonderful thing, the care and patience required, the sweet indulgence, the ceremony, the extravagant simplicity. It is a metaphor for love. Baking a cake, a metaphor for research. Cake theory is a metaphor about economic development and the redistribution of wealth in the political discourse. If economic development is seen as analogous to baking a cake, one side of the debate suggests that development should focus on dividing the cake more fairly, while the other says development should be focused on baking a bigger cake. Bake for 20 minutes. Prepare your frosting. Pasta means cake with frosting in Turkish. Kek is cake without frosting. The cake itself is of Viking origin, from the Old Norse word kaka. Kaka means poop in Arabic. In Swedish it means cookie. When your cake is completely cool, place it for frosting. Clean the sides of the cake. Cut the cake cleanly in half to create 2 rectangular layers. The 4 dimensions of racism. First layer of cake, internalized. The subtle and over messages that reinforce negative beliefs and self-hatred in individuals. Add frosting to the top of the first layer. First layer of frosting, interpersonal. Racist acts and microaggressions carried out from one person to another. Add chopped strawberries. Add the second layer of the cake on top. Second layer of cake, structural. Multiple institutions collectively upholding racist policies and practices. Frost it completely, using a knife to carefully frost the sides of the cake. Top frosting, institutional. Policies and practices that reinforce racist standards within a workspace or organization. Decorate with fresh strawberries. Cut into squares and serve. Fair cake cutting is a kind of fair division problem. The problem involves a heterogeneous resource, such as a cake with different toppings, that is assumed to be divisible. Cut arbitrarily small pieces of it without destroying their value. A subjectively fair cutting, in that each person receives a piece that they believe to be a fair share.